She had no intention of going. Not then. Not ever. The wedding invitation sat unopened on the marble kitchen counter for 11 days and 17 hours before it was finally tossed into the fire. Still sealed. Still reeking of lilac perfume and false promises. The name embossed in gold foil mocked her with its elegance. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Carolina Torres and Maya Sterling. Carolina Torres. The name alone used to be enough to make her throat tighten, her chest burn. Now it only made her grip tighten on the glass of whiskey she never used to drink. She didn't do weddings. She didn't do cordially. And she most certainly didn't do Carolina. Not anymore. The fire swallowed the envelope like it had swallowed every trace of that summer 5 years ago. Good. She built her empire by cutting off her emotions like dead limbs, ruthless, efficient, surgical. There was no place for nostalgia in billion-dollar contracts. No room for soft things like apologies. Or regrets. Or that ridiculous ache behind her ribs that had never fully healed. The morning after the envelope turned to ash, her assistant knocked on her office door. 3 precise taps. Ma'am, you have a message. She barely looked up from the screen. Tell them to email me. It wasn't an email. The hesitation in her assistant's voice made her glance up. It was a handwritten note. No return address. Just this. She handed it over like it was a bomb. One narrow piece of paper. One line, written in neat cursive. Save me a seat beside you. She read it once. Twice. Her fingers didn't tremble, but her chest did something strange, something sharp and involuntary, like the echo of a name you're trying not to remember. The note had no signature, but the handwriting was achingly familiar. It wasn't Carolina's. That much she knew. But it was someone who knew her. Someone who knew them. She stood up slowly. Cancel all my meetings for the week. Ma'am, I said cancel them. The glass wall reflected her image back to her. Sharp black suit, expression carved from stone. Eyes suddenly too alive. She hated it. Hated that one piece of paper could shake the foundation she'd built herself on. But she also couldn't ignore it. Someone wanted her at that wedding. Someone wanted her seated beside them. And she needed to know who. The flight to the coast was booked in under 30 minutes. She hadn't been back to that town in 5 years. Not since Carolina chose safety over chaos. Not since she walked out of that rented beach house with nothing but her pride and a suitcase full of fury. Now she was walking back into a story that never really ended. Just got buried alive. The small hotel she checked into was only a 15-minute drive from the wedding venue. Too close for comfort. Too far to run. The receptionist gave her that tight, polite smile people reserve for celebrities they don't know how to talk to. She ignored it. Her room was sterile. White sheets. Sea view. A bowl of fruit she wouldn't touch. She opened her suitcase with the precision of someone opening a case file, each dress selected for control, each pair of heels sharpened like armor. That night, she couldn't sleep. Her mind kept looping. Who sent the message? Who knew that she might, just might, be weak enough to show up? Who wanted her there? And more than that, why? The next morning, she went for coffee in the town square, hood pulled low, sunglasses shielding her from recognition. That's when she saw her. Not Carolina. No. The woman sitting at the cafe window wasn't someone she recognized. But she looked straight at her, like she'd been waiting. Like she knew. Dark red lips. Eyes like something ancient and dangerous. And the faintest hint of a smile. Cruel, almost, but not unkind. When she walked in, their eyes locked for less than 5 seconds. That was enough. The stranger didn't say hello. Didn't introduce herself. Just sipped her espresso and said, almost idly, "You came after all." Her blood went cold. "Who are you?" The woman smiled again lazily. "I'm the one who saved you a seat." She didn't sit. Not yet. Her legs moved toward the table like they didn't belong to her, slow and measured, but her chest burned with something she didn't want to name. The cafe smelled like sea salt and coffee grounds, too real, too alive. She'd spent years building a world of glass and silence around her, and now it was cracking from a single sentence. The woman who claimed to have sent it sipped her espresso like nothing was strange, like this wasn't a confrontation, like this wasn't dangerous. She was older than Carolina, maybe early 30s, maybe younger, but there was something about her presence, fluid, heavy, sharp as wine and colder than snow. She raised an eyebrow as the billionaire finally sat, jaw tense, fingers clenched. "I asked you a question," she said. Her voice came out low and quiet, deadly calm. "Who are you?" The woman tilted her head slightly. "I already told you. I'm the one who saved you a seat. You're not on the guest list. Neither are you." That earned her a hard look. "I could make one call and find out exactly who you are in 30 seconds. And yet, you haven't." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "You're not used to not having the upper hand, are you?" Silence fell between them like a stone in deep water. The billionaire looked away first. Out the window, the sea glittered like it had 5 years ago. That damn beach. That damn house. That summer that ruined everything. "You knew Carolina," she said finally. "Tell me how." "I could. But what fun would that be?" The stranger leaned forward slightly. "You didn't come back for the wedding. You came because you still have questions. About her. About yourself. About why someone like you can't sleep at night." The billionaire flinched before she could stop herself. "You don't know me. I know enough." "And what exactly do you think you know?" "That you walked away from the only person who ever saw the softness under all that steel. That you told yourself it was strength. That you lied." The billionaire stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. Her heart was thundering in her chest. "I don't know what game you're playing, but you have no idea what happened between me and Carolina." The woman's voice didn't rise. "Then why are you still so angry?" She didn't answer. Couldn't. She turned and walked out into the street, pulse pounding, fists clenched. She told herself she wouldn't look back. She almost made it to the corner before she heard the voice again, closer now, behind her. "She's not happy." The billionaire froze. The words slid into her like ice through silk. "What?" The woman stepped beside her. "Carolina. She's not happy. Not with the person she's marrying. Not with the life she's pretending fits her. She wakes up every morning aching for something she won't name. And you know it." She turned, face unreadable. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you needed to hear it. Because you're the only one who can stop this wedding." "You don't know what you're talking about, don't I?" Her voice lowered. "She still writes you letters. Every year. Birthday. Christmas. The date you left. She never sends them. But she writes them. I've read them." That hit her harder than she wanted to admit. Carolina wrote to her? After everything? She looked away. If she wanted me there, she would have said it. Maybe she's too proud. Or too scared. Or maybe she thinks you forgot her. "I tried to." "And how's that working out for you?" The billionaire said nothing. The woman slipped a folded note into her hand, then walked away without another word. For a moment she didn't move. Then, slowly, she unfolded it. It wasn't written in the stranger's elegant cursive. It was Messier. Softer. Familiar. It said only one thing. "I can't stop dreaming about the way you looked at me that night." Her breath caught. She knew exactly what night it meant. 5 years ago. The storm. The kiss. The moment they could never take back. She closed her eyes, fists trembling. Damn it. Damn her. She wasn't supposed to feel like this anymore. She wasn't supposed to feel anything at all. That night came rushing back like a flood. Carolina soaked from the rain, standing in the middle of the living room barefoot, mascara streaked, voice shaking with fury and something more desperate underneath. "Say it," she'd said back then. "Say you want me, and I'll stay." But she hadn't. She'd let her walk away. Told herself it was better that way. Cleaner. Safer. She lied. She lied, and it cost them everything. Now, on the edge of a wedding that felt like a funeral, the ghosts were back. And one of them had sent a stranger to stir the ashes. She went back to the hotel in silence. Her mind raced the whole night, haunted by Carolina's laugh, the way her voice would drop when she was nervous, the freckle on her collarbone, The look in her eyes that night, like she was offering something sacred and breakable. She didn't sleep. Again. In the morning, there was another note under her door. This one wasn't a message. It was an invitation. No return name. Just a time. A place. And a final line. If you still feel it, come find me. She read it 3 times. The handwriting wasn't Carolina's. It was hers. She stared at the note for a long time. The handwriting wasn't just similar. It was identical. The curves of the letters, the slant of the Y's, the way the T's were crossed low and wide. It was hers. But she hadn't written it. She hadn't picked up a pen in months, hadn't written anything by hand since her last board meeting, and certainly not something this raw. Her own words, in her own hand, but from someone else. It didn't make sense. Unless. She sat down slowly at the edge of the bed, her mind already spiraling into memories she'd tried to lock behind steel doors. That summer. The beach house. Carolina. She could still smell the sea air, hear the sound of her laughter in the kitchen, barefoot, hair wild, holding a cup of coffee like it was the only thing grounding her to the earth. She used to write things down back then in secret notebooks, in the backs of receipts, on napkins and scraps. Letters she'd never sent. Feelings she never voiced. It was stupid. Reckless. But Carolina used to say her silence was the loudest thing in the room. Maybe she was right. One night, after a fight so bitter they didn't speak for hours, Carolina found one of those letters under the bed. She'd read it aloud, trembling, her voice breaking on every word. I can't love her out loud, she whispered, because if I do, I lose everything. But if I don't, I lose her. That night, they kissed like the world was ending. And maybe in a way it was because 2 weeks later, Carolina left. Or maybe she did. She couldn't even remember who walked out first anymore. Only that the silence that followed was colder than any fight. She folded the new note carefully and placed it inside her wallet, next to an old photograph she pretended she didn't carry. Then she checked the time. The invitation, no. The summons had said 6 p.m. The place was a small gallery by the coast. She hadn't been inside it since before the collapse. She arrived 10 minutes early, parked the car, and stared at the building like it might bite her. It hadn't changed. The same old wooden door, the faded red brick, the salt-worn windows. She stepped inside slowly. The lights were dim. The room smelled like oil paint and varnish. And then she saw it. A single painting, centered on the wall, lit by one narrow spotlight. A portrait. Of her. Her breath left her like a punch to the ribs. She stepped closer. It wasn't perfect. The lines were too bold, the colors too bruised, but it was her. Not as she looked now. As she looked 5 years ago. Eyes too bright. Smile half-forced. Guarded and already breaking. The signature at the bottom wasn't Carolina's. But it wasn't the stranger's either. You still carry that photograph, said a voice behind her. She turned fast. The woman from the cafe stood in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. How did you? I painted it, she said simply. Years ago. After I met her. Met who? Carolina. The name was a weapon between them. You said you weren't on the guest list. I'm not. But you know her. You knew me. How? The woman walked closer, slow and deliberate. She told me about you. The first time we met, she was drunk and furious and wearing your sweatshirt. She said your name like it hurt. That doesn't explain the note. My handwriting. You left pieces of yourself behind. In that house. In her journals. In me. The billionaire's breath caught. In you. She never let go of you. Not really. And maybe that's why I couldn't either. I don't even know who you are. No, the woman said softly. But I know who you were. I know what she saw in you. I know the way you used to look at her when you thought no one noticed. And what do you want from me? Nothing. Her voice was quieter now. But she wants you there. Even if she'll never admit it. She's marrying someone else. People do foolish things when they're scared. And what if she doesn't want me anymore? Then leave. Hey, if you're enjoying this story, go ahead and drop a like to help us grow even more. And let me know in the comments, on a scale from 0 to 10, what score would you give this story so far? Your feedback makes all the difference. But not without looking her in the eyes first. The woman handed her another note. This one was folded in half, heavier. Inside was a Polaroid. Carolina, standing on the beach, wearing the sweatshirt she thought was lost. Her smile was small, private, like she was waiting. The note read, in familiar handwriting, "She'll sit on the left side. Second row. That's where you'll know." The woman turned to leave. "Wait," the billionaire said. "Why are you helping me?" She looked back once. Her eyes, finally, were soft. "Because someone once saved a seat for me, and I never sat down." She disappeared into the gallery shadow. And for the first time in years, the billionaire felt something warm in her chest. Not hope. Not yet. But something close. She looked at the painting one more time, then at the photo in her hand. Tomorrow was the wedding. And for the first time since she burned the invitation, she knew she'd be there. The morning of the wedding arrived cloaked in fog, thick and low, as if the town itself was unsure about letting the day begin. She stood at the hotel window, coffee untouched, staring out at the coastline she used to know so well. It felt like the universe was holding its breath.
So was she.
She hadn't slept. Again. Not because of nerves. Not exactly. It was something heavier. Like grief. Like walking willingly into the same fire that burned you once before, just to see if it still hurt. Her dress was black. Sharp lines, clean cut, no embellishments. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't apologetic. She wasn't there to blend in. She was there to be seen by one person and one person only. The drive to the venue was short. The private estate Carolina had chosen was secluded, perched on a cliff, all modern glass and endless views of the sea. She'd expected something more traditional from her. Safe. Predictable. But no, this place had Carolina all over it. Beautiful. Bold. Impossible to forget. The valet didn't recognize her at first. Then he blinked twice, almost dropped the keys. I know who I am," she said, brushing past him. The entryway was filled with soft music and too many flowers. She hated weddings. The fake smiles. The staged emotions. The way everything tried too hard to be perfect. But as she stepped into the main hall, her heart caught. There she was. Carolina. Across the room, back turned, surrounded by people but unmistakable. The curve of her shoulders. The way she held her hands together like she was always restraining something. Her hair was longer now, curled into soft waves. Her dress was pale champagne, delicate lace trailing down her back. She looked ethereal, untouchable, like a memory made real. The woman from the gallery hadn't lied. Second row, left side. One seat empty. Her seat. She walked toward it slowly. Every step felt like a betrayal of the silence she'd sworn to keep. People turned, whispered, stared.
She didn't care.
She sat, eyes forward, hands still. The ceremony hadn't started. Not yet. Carolina hadn't turned. Not once. But she knew. The stiffness in her spine, the way her fingers curled tighter, she knew. And then, without warning, she turned. Just for a second. Their eyes met. Everything stopped. 5 years unraveled in a single heartbeat. There was no smile. No greeting. Just the kind of eye contact that burned, that said, "You're here. I hate that you're here. I need you here." And then she looked away. The music shifted. People stood. The ceremony began. Carolina didn't look back again. She went through the motions like a ghost. Vows, rings, the whole performance. But her voice trembled. Her eyes darted to the crowd once. Toward her. Brief.
Quick.
Not enough for anyone else to notice. But she did. And that was enough. The woman standing beside Carolina, the bride, was pretty, elegant, perfectly composed. But she wasn't looking at Carolina the way she had. There was no fire in her gaze. No fear of losing something that mattered. Just comfort. Just routine. When the officiant pronounced them married, the applause felt hollow. Carolina flinched, so subtly only she would notice. And then it was done. She rose from her seat. She should have left then. Slipped away while the crowd swelled forward, while the photographers flashed, while the music drowned out the silence between them. But she didn't. She waited. And Carolina came to her. Not immediately. Not gracefully. But eventually. Their eyes met again across the room, and Carolina broke away from the crowd, walked toward her like every step cost her something. When they finally stood face to face, the world dimmed. "You came," Carolina said, voice low. "You asked me to."
No.
"I didn't." Her throat tightened. "Then who did?" Carolina didn't answer. Her eyes were glassy. Her hands trembled. "You shouldn't be here." "Then why is there a seat with my name on it?" "Because some part of me." She exhaled sharply. "I wanted to see if you still would." They stood in silence. Everything else faded. "You look the same," Carolina said finally. "Colder, maybe." "You look different." "Better?" "Tired." A bitter smile. "You ruined me for sleep." "Don't say that," Carolina whispered. "Why not?" "Because it still hurts." "Then why are you marrying someone else?" "Because you left."
Because you let me.
Carolina's breath caught. Her eyes glistened. She looked down. "I waited. You never came back. You never asked me to. I didn't think I had to."
They were too close now.
Too much history between them. And not enough forgiveness. "So this is it?" the billionaire asked. "I came all this way just to watch you pretend? You don't know what this is. Then tell me." "I can't."
She reached out then. Barely.
Her fingers brushing against Carolina's wrist. Electric. Immediate. Carolina pulled back like it burned. "Don't," she said, trembling. "Not here." "When then?" "I don't know." "Say you don't love me, and I'll leave." Carolina opened her mouth. Closed it. Tears filled her eyes. But she said nothing. The billionaire stepped back. Nodded once. "That's what I thought." And she turned. Walked away. Her chest cracked open with every step. The second she reached the door, someone grabbed her arm. Not Carolina. The woman from the gallery. Again.
"She's not done," she said.
"Neither are you. She's married. Only on paper." "It's too late." "You keep saying that," the woman snapped. "But you keep coming back." The billionaire looked at her. Eyes blazing. "Why do you care?" "Because someone has to." She shoved something into her hand.
A key.
"Room 312. Tonight."
She'll be there.
"Unless you walk away again." And just like that, she was gone. The key burned in her palm the entire drive to the hotel. Room 312. The numbers repeated themselves like a countdown. Like a warning. She shouldn't be doing this. Carolina was married. Technically.
Publicly.
Legally. But none of that mattered. Not when her chest was cracking open with every breath. Not when her skin still remembered the way Carolina had pulled back like her touch was fire. And not when a single word from her could still tear her apart. She didn't knock. She couldn't. Her fingers hovered near the door handle, the key already warm from her grip, and for one long moment, she almost turned away. Almost. But she'd spent 5 years pretending she didn't care. 5 years making empires, building walls, mastering silence. And still, all it took was one message to bring her to her knees. She slid the key into the lock and pushed the door open. The room was dim. Quiet. A single lamp cast soft gold light across the bed. And there, sitting in the armchair by the window, barefoot, dress wrinkled, hair undone, eyes red, was Carolina. She didn't move.
Didn't speak.
Just stared. The silence between them was immediate and unbearable. "You came," Carolina whispered. Her voice was raw, scraped open from emotion she couldn't hide. "You asked me to," the billionaire said, her own voice tighter than she meant. Carolina shook her head.
"No."
"I didn't. I never would have been brave enough to." "Then who?" "I know who she is. The woman who sent the notes. The one who brought you back. She's a friend." "Sort of." She saw what I couldn't admit. Which is, Carolina stood, slowly, her bare feet soundless against the carpet. She walked toward her, each step full of hesitance and gravity. That I never stopped waiting for you, even after I said yes to someone else. You married her. I went through a ceremony. I didn't promise my heart. I couldn't, because it was never mine to give. She was inches away now. Her eyes shone with tears, but didn't fall. Why didn't you fight for me? The billionaire flinched. I thought you wanted me to let you go. I never wanted that. I just wanted you to ask me to stay. I was afraid. So was I. Carolina's breath hitched. But I loved you. She stopped herself, biting her bottom lip like the word itself might undo her. The billionaire closed the distance between them, one step, slow, deliberate. Then say it. You don't deserve it. Probably not. Her voice cracked. But I need it. Carolina's hands reached out, not to touch, but to steady herself. You destroyed me. You destroyed me first. I wrote to you every year. I read them. Did you write back? No, Carolina looked down. Why? Because I didn't trust myself. Because if I started writing, I would have come back. And I didn't think you'd want me anymore. I hated you. I hated me more. The pause between them was thick with everything unsaid. And then, like neither of them could hold it anymore, Carolina stepped forward and pressed her forehead against the billionaire's shoulder. Not a hug. Not forgiveness. Just proximity.
Heat. Pain.
Longing. The billionaire didn't move. Her hands hovered in the air, unsure, afraid. Then, slowly, she wrapped her arms around Carolina, pulling her in, feeling the shape of her after all these years. She felt smaller.
Softer.
More breakable. Or maybe she was the one breaking. Carolina's voice came out muffled. I thought you'd forgotten how to hold me. I never forgot. Then why did you let go? Because it hurt too much to pretend it was enough. Carolina pulled back, eyes glassy, searching her face. Was it ever real for you? It was the only thing that was. Then why did we lose it? Because neither of us knew how to be loved.
Not really.
Not safely. Carolina blinked. I'm not safe now either. No, the billionaire exhaled. But I'm not leaving this time. Carolina's hands found hers, fingers lacing together slowly. Their skin remembered. Their bodies remembered. You're still angry, the billionaire whispered. Yes. You're still hurt. Always. And you still want me? Carolina looked at her, and the answer was written in every shattered part of her expression. God, yes. And then, finally, they kissed. It wasn't soft. It wasn't slow. It was 5 years of grief and fury and love and silence, crashing into a single impossible moment. Lips clashing, hands tangled, tears mixing between breaths. The kiss tasted like everything they never said. When they pulled apart, breathing uneven, Carolina pressed her forehead to the billionaire's. I don't know what happens now. Neither do I. She's still downstairs. I know. What do I do? Whatever your heart says. It's screaming. What's it saying? Don't let go again. The billionaire closed her eyes, tightening her hold. I won't. But even as they stood wrapped in each other, the world outside the room was waiting. The reality. The consequences. The woman Carolina had just vowed herself to. And the mess they would have to clean together. But for that moment, for just that one night, they chose each other again. Not in secret. Not in shame. But finally, truly, completely. And neither of them moved. The morning light was cruel. It came through the hotel curtains like truth itself, exposing everything it touched, and for the first time in 5 years, she wished the night could have lasted forever. She was awake before Carolina. Not moving. Barely breathing. The bed smelled like her again. Warm skin, faint perfume, memories that ached. She watched her sleep for a moment too long, memorizing every new detail. There was a line at the corner of her mouth now, a tension between her brows even in rest. She looked peaceful, but not untouched. Carolina shifted slightly, her fingers curling around the edge of the sheet like she was still holding on to something. Or someone. The billionaire closed her eyes and let the silence settle between them, thick and unspoken. The kiss. The hands. The way their bodies remembered each other like no time had passed. It was all still there. But the past was a living thing, breathing under the covers with them, and neither of them knew how to put it back to sleep. She got up quietly, walked to the window, pulled the curtains open with a sharpness she didn't feel. Sunlight poured in. Carolina stirred. "You're still here," she murmured, voice rough with sleep. "I said I wouldn't leave. You also said you didn't know what happens next." The billionaire turned slowly, meeting her eyes. "I still don't." Carolina sat up, holding the sheet to her chest, not out of modesty, but armor. "Last night felt like a dream." "It wasn't." "Then we're in trouble." "We were always in trouble." She walked back to the bed, standing at the edge, close but not touching. "What do you want, Carolina?" The name fell heavy between them. Carolina looked down at her hands. "I want to breathe again. I want to stop pretending. She looked up. "You. Even now. Especially now." "Then say it." "I love you," she said without blinking. "I never stopped." The billionaire exhaled like she'd been holding that breath since the day she left. "Then leave with me." Carolina froze. "What?" "Come with me."
Now. Today.
We walk out that door and never look back. "I can't." "Why not?" "Because I made vows. Because she's not a bad person. Because walking out the day after my wedding would ruin her." "You already ruined her," the billionaire said coldly. "With your silence. With your love for someone else." "That's not fair." "None of this is fair. You don't get to walk back into my life, break me open, and demand I destroy someone else." "I'm not demanding anything. I'm giving you a choice. For once." Carolina's voice cracked. "It's not that simple." "It is. She loves me. But you don't love her." "I care about her." "Caring isn't enough. It has to be. It's all I have." "It's not all you have. You have me. If you want me." Carolina stood up then, facing her fully, naked but unashamed, emotions raw on her skin. "I want you. I always have. But that doesn't mean I know how to fix this. We start with honesty. With leaving the lies behind." "I don't know how." "Then let me show you." Carolina blinked, a tear slipping down her cheek. "She's waiting for me. We're supposed to leave for the honeymoon in 3 hours. Then go tell her." "And say what?" "That the person you love just walked back into your life. That you thought you could forget, but you were wrong. That staying would be a lie." Carolina swallowed hard. "She'll hate me. Maybe. But you won't hate yourself." "And what if she fights for me?" The billionaire's jaw tightened. "Then I'll fight harder." Carolina stared at her for a long, soul-shattering moment. Then she turned, gathered her dress from the chair, and disappeared into the bathroom. The water ran. Minutes passed. Long ones. The billionaire sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, heart pounding. She didn't know if Carolina would come back out dressed to walk away, or to walk back into a life that didn't belong to her. When the door finally opened, Carolina stepped out slowly, dressed, eyes wet but steady. "She deserves to hear it from me. She does. Wait here. Always." Carolina kissed her then.
Soft. Real.
And then she was gone.
The door closed.
And the billionaire was alone. Again. This time, not with silence. With hope. But hope was dangerous. Time passed like molasses. She paced. Saturday. Stood. Poured coffee and didn't drink it. Thought about every word she should have said 5 years ago. Thought about the look in Carolina's eyes last night when she whispered, "Don't let go" again. The clock ticked. 30 minutes. Then an hour. Then 90 minutes. And still nothing. Her stomach twisted. What if she'd changed her mind? What if the guilt was stronger than the love? What if she was standing in front of her wife right now, lying again, hiding again, leaving her in a hotel room with a heart cracked wide open and no way to close it? She was about to leave, to find her, to force the conversation herself, when the door opened. Carolina stepped in. Her lipstick was smudged, her hair slightly out of place, her hands trembling, and her wedding ring gone.
She didn't speak.
She walked straight to the billionaire, wrapped her arms around her, buried her face in her neck, and exhaled. I told her everything, she whispered. All of it. How did she take it? Better than I deserved. Did she cry? No, did you? Yes. The billionaire pulled her closer. You're shaking. I'm terrified. So am I. Tell me I didn't ruin my life. The billionaire pulled back just enough to look her in the eye. You didn't ruin anything. You just stopped lying. She said she always knew. Of course she did. She thanked me. That made her freeze. For what? For choosing truth. For letting her go before she built a life around a lie. The billionaire blinked. She's stronger than I expected. She's better than me. No, the billionaire said, voice steady. She's just not me. Carolina smiled then, small and tired and beautiful. I'm scared. Good.
Why?
Because now it's real. Carolina leaned in, her forehead resting against hers again. Don't let me run. Don't give me a reason to. The hotel room faded. The world shrunk. And for the first time, they weren't two women clinging to what was lost. They were two women daring to begin again, with no guarantees. No safety. Just each other. They didn't speak as they checked out. Carolina kept her sunglasses on, head low, lips tight. The billionaire didn't reach for her hand, even though every instinct screamed to do it. Not here. Not yet. The woman behind the front desk didn't say anything, but her eyes lingered too long. Gossip travels fast in towns like this. They walked to the car together, a slow silence stretching between them, thick with the weight of what had just happened and what still waited outside the walls of that hotel. When they got in, Carolina stared out the window, hands folded tightly in her lap. She didn't cry, she said again. You told me. But she didn't scream either. She didn't even look surprised. Because she knew. That I still loved you? Yes. Carolina turned slowly. Did you? The billionaire didn't look at her. What do you think brought me here?
Guilt.
Maybe. No, she finally met her gaze.
Love. Still.
Always. That shut the silence down like a slammed door. Carolina's shoulders dropped slightly. I keep waiting for it to feel wrong. For me to hate myself. Do you? Not yet. Maybe later. Maybe when it hits me that I broke someone else to fix myself. The billionaire reached over, touched her fingers. You didn't break her. You just stopped pretending. Carolina didn't answer. They drove for a while, without speaking.
Past the town.
Past the cliff roads. Toward nothing in particular. Carolina had canceled the honeymoon. She had no home anymore, at least not with her. The billionaire offered her penthouse in the city, but Carolina had shaken her head. Not yet, she'd said. I need to breathe first. And now, the car rolled along the coast like time was suspended, until Carolina finally spoke. Can I ask you something? Anything. Did you ever sleep with anyone else? The question wasn't cruel. It was soft, curious,
Heavy.
After us. Yes. The billionaire didn't lie. Yes. Carolina nodded, looking out the window again. Did you love them? No. Did you try to? Not really. Then why? Because I thought it would help. It didn't. A pause. You? Carolina shook her head. Just her. The billionaire swallowed. Was it enough? It was quiet. Safe. I think I mistook that for love. And now I know what it wasn't. The car stopped at a lookout point, the ocean roaring below. They got out, stood at the edge, wind pulling at their hair, neither of them moving to speak, until Carolina whispered, "What if this doesn't work?" The billionaire turned toward her. Then it doesn't. But we try. And if I run again, then I chase you harder. And if I push you away, then I hold on tighter. And if I break, then I break with you. Carolina turned to her slowly, eyes full. You say that like you're not scared. I'm terrified. Then why stay? Because I'd rather burn with you than be cold without you. Carolina closed her eyes. God, I missed you. Show me. Carolina kissed her then. Not like before. Not desperate. Not chaotic. This kiss was slow, intentional, like a promise, like a beginning. When they pulled apart, Carolina leaned her head on her shoulder. I don't know who I am anymore. You will. Will you still want me when I do? I want every version of you. They stayed like that until the wind grew too sharp. Back in the car, the billionaire's phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. Just one line. You still owe me a truth. She stared at the screen, jaw tight. Carolina noticed. Who is it? Someone I thought was finished with us. The woman from a cafe? Yes. What truth? The billionaire didn't answer. She started the car. Let's go. To where? Back to where it started. Carolina blinked. The beach house. Yes. It still exists. I kept it. Why? Because I never stopped hoping. The drive there was heavy with anticipation. Carolina didn't ask more questions. She stared at the road like it held memories. When they arrived, the sight of the house stole her breath. Nothing had changed. Same paint, same porch, same windows that used to fog with late-night arguments and early-morning forgiveness. You really kept it, Carolina whispered. I never came back. Until now. They stepped inside together. The air was thick with dust and ghosts. Every corner echoed with the version of themselves they used to be. You said you owed her a truth, Carolina said. What truth? The billionaire walked to the fireplace, picked up a small wooden box from the mantel, opened it. Inside were folded papers. Dozens. All in her handwriting. I wrote to you too, she said. I just never sent them. Carolina stepped closer, breath caught. Why? Because they were never good enough. Because I thought if I wrote it all down, I'd stop needing you. She handed her one of the letters. Carolina unfolded it slowly. Read in silence. Then another. Then another. Her hands were shaking. You loved me more than I knew, she whispered. I loved you in every way I couldn't say out loud. Carolina looked up. And her? The woman who sent the notes? Why is she still watching? The billionaire exhaled. Because I left her. Too. Not romantically, but emotionally. I shut her out when she tried to help. She was there when we ended. She saw the worst in me. And now I think she wants to see if I've changed. Carolina stepped closer. Have you? The billionaire's voice was quiet. I'm trying. Carolina reached for her hand. Then let's find out together. And just like that, they weren't alone in the past anymore. They were standing in it, facing it, and, for the first time, finally ready to walk through it together. The beach house breathed around them like a living thing, saturated with memory. Carolina stood by the window, holding the last of the unsent letters in her hand like it might still burn her. The billionaire watched her from across the room, heart clenched with every second of silence. She could feel it coming, the unraveling, the shift. Carolina didn't speak right away. She just kept reading, her fingers trembling slightly, jaw tight. When she finally looked up, her eyes were unreadable. You said you wanted me to know everything. I do. Then tell me the part you left out. The billionaire swallowed. Her throat burned. You wouldn't be asking unless you already knew something. I know there's more. There always is with you. Carolina, don't soften it. Don't protect me. I want the truth. All of it. She turned away from the window, walking toward her slowly. Is it about her? The woman who sent the messages. Yes. Did you love her? No. Did you sleep with her? The pause was enough. Carolina froze. Her lips parted, then closed again. Say it. The billionaire's voice cracked. Once. A long time ago. After I lost you. I didn't plan it. It didn't mean anything. You slept with the woman who led me back to you? She wasn't that then. She was someone who saw me unraveling. Someone who listened when I stopped speaking. I didn't love her. I barely even saw her. But you let her in. Not like I let you in. Carolina stepped back, her body rigid with something between betrayal and disbelief. I asked you last night. You said. I said I slept with someone. I didn't say who. Because I knew it would hurt you. You think hiding it made it better? I think hiding it was cowardly. And I regret it. But it didn't change how I felt about you.
Not then.
Not ever. You don't get to control what breaks me. Her words were sharp, full of fury she had tried to bury. You don't get to curate the damage. I know. She touched you. She saw the parts of you I thought were mine. No, the billionaire said quickly, stepping forward. She didn't see me. Not the way you did. Not the way you still do.
It was a mistake.
It was a collapse. You were gone, and I was trying to disappear too. Did you ever tell her about me? She already knew. Everyone knew. I wasn't exactly subtle. And now she's here, in this town, watching us, pushing us toward each other.
Why?
Because she saw what we had, and she knew it wasn't over. Or maybe she's waiting for you to choose her again. I never chose her, but you did. For one night, you did. The words sliced deep. The billionaire had no defense left, only truth. I hated myself for it, and I never touched anyone else after. Not for 5 years. Not until you. Carolina turned away, hands on her hips, breathing hard. I don't know what to do with this. Then don't do anything.
Just stay.
Let it be ugly for a minute. Let it be honest. Carolina's voice shook. I feel like I'm losing you again. You're not.
You're seeing me.
Really seeing me. Maybe for the first time. And what if I don't like what I see? Then I'll still be here. Because I'm done running. I'm done hiding from who I was. What I did. She walked to Carolina, slow, cautious. Let me stand here.
Let me stay.
Even if you're furious. Even if you can't forgive me yet. Carolina looked at her, eyes burning. What do you want from me?
Time.
A chance. A fight. You already had me once. And you let me go. And I won't make that mistake again. But I can't erase what I did. I can only be here now. With you. In the wreckage. Carolina finally moved. She stepped forward, pressed her palm flat against the billionaire's chest. You broke me, she whispered. And I stayed broken longer than I want to admit. I know. I loved you. So much it scared me. I loved you so much it ruined me. Then maybe we're even. Maybe. Carolina looked up, face softening despite herself. And maybe I still love you too much. The billionaire's voice was a breath. Then don't go. I'm not going anywhere. The silence that followed wasn't cold. It was thick with something new. Not peace, but possibility. You'll have to face her, Carolina said quietly. The woman. I know, and you'll have to say it out loud. I will. Not just for me. For her. She deserves that much. Carolina nodded. Then I'll be there. When you do. They stood together, the ocean roaring just beyond the glass. The pain was still there. The hurt. But so was something else. Something stubborn and raw and real.
Love.
Imperfect, unpolished, but still burning. The past hadn't killed it. The truth hadn't ruined it. And for the first time, Carolina reached out, not to hold, not to cling, but to anchor. Her fingers slipped into the billionaire's. Not forgiveness, but a beginning. Again. The message came that evening. A simple text, no signature, no timestamp, just a location and a time. Same woman, same silence, same unnerving precision. She knew where to find them. The billionaire stared at the screen, thumb hovering over it for a moment before locking the phone again. She wants to meet, she said without turning. Carolina, curled on the couch in the beach house, looked up slowly. Her face was calm, but her eyes were not. Where? The place we met her the first time. The cafe. Carolina stood, pulling on her coat, quiet but firm. Then we go together. You don't have to be there. Yes, I do. The car ride was nearly silent. The air between them was heavy but steady, no longer brittle. They were aligned now, even in the discomfort. The cafe was mostly empty when they arrived. It was after closing, the lights dimmed, chairs up on tables, except for one. In the far back corner, by the window, the same one where it had all started. She was already there, waiting. Of course. Same crimson lipstick. Same deliberate stillness, like a woman used to control. She didn't stand when they entered. Didn't smile. Just looked at both of them with that impossible calm, that same sharp-eyed understanding that had always made the billionaire feel exposed. You came, she said. You asked, the billionaire replied. And you brought her. She has a name. I know it. Her eyes flicked to Carolina, who stood beside the billionaire without flinching. You don't have to do this, the woman said to her. You're not the one who owes me anything. She doesn't, Carolina said softly. But I want to hear it too. The woman's gaze returned to the billionaire. You said you'd tell me the truth. I waited 5 years. Then I gave you one final push. And here you are. You got what you wanted, the billionaire said.
No.
I got what she wanted, the woman answered, tilting her head toward Carolina. You're here because she still loved you, not because you were ready to face me. And now I am. Then say it. The billionaire inhaled slowly. I used you. That night. I was angry, bitter, lost. You were kind, and I hated you for it. I let you in because I couldn't feel anything else. And then I left without a word. The woman nodded once. True. I never loved you. You knew that. Also true. But I should have said it. I should have acknowledged what I did. I disappeared instead. And that wasn't fair. The woman leaned back. You were grieving. I wasn't innocent either. I wanted to be near your pain. I wanted to touch something that once belonged to her. She looked at Carolina again. I envied you. Still do, I think. Carolina didn't blink. Why help us then? Because I believe in love more than pride. And because I saw something in her that day, something broken, something worth saving. Even if it wasn't for me. Her eyes returned to the billionaire. I gave you the letters because I needed you to feel the weight of what you'd lost. And I gave her the notes because I wanted her to see that it wasn't too late. You played us both, the billionaire said.
A little.
The woman's mouth quirked, but there was no cruelty in it. But sometimes people need to be pushed. What do you want now? Nothing, she said simply. I wanted the truth. And now I have it. Do you hate me? The billionaire's voice was quieter than she meant. No, she hesitated. I think, in some way, I loved what you represented. Not who you were. You never let me see that part. She did, Carolina said. Eventually. The woman smiled, a soft and sad thing. Then she saw what the rest of us missed. A long silence fell over the table. No one moved. Then the woman stood, finally, gathering her coat, her movements graceful. You don't owe me anything more, she said. But don't waste it this time. Don't let fear rot what's real. She paused, looked at Carolina one last time. Hearts like hers don't come twice. And then she walked away.
Just like that.
No drama. No final blow. Just the quiet, aching exit of someone who had once reached out to love something that wasn't hers to hold. They didn't speak for a long time. The cafe was empty now, except for them. Outside, the night deepened. She's right, Carolina said softly. About what? About fear. About me. She's also wrong.
How?
The billionaire turned to her. Your heart comes once. But I've found it twice. Carolina looked down. I still don't know what happens next. We rebuild, the billionaire said. Day by day. Truth by truth. Even the hard ones, especially those. Carolina reached for her hand. Then let's go home. To where? Anywhere you are. They walked out together into the night, fingers entwined, the weight between them lighter now. The ghosts still followed, but for once, they didn't lead. The future was unwritten, but it was theirs. They returned to the city 2 days later, in silence, but not discomfort. Carolina wore sunglasses and a hooded coat, keeping her head low as they exited the airport through the private terminal. The billionaire didn't touch her, didn't look at her for too long, but her presence hovered like a protective barrier, tense, alert, necessary. They knew what was coming. The press. The speculation. The questions. It had only taken 24 hours for headlines to start swirling. Heiress walks out hours after wedding. Seen leaving town with reclusive tech billionaire. The photos were blurry but unmistakable. The internet didn't care about clarity, only story. Her PR team had called 7 times. Lawyers 4. The billionaire answered none of them. Not yet. She didn't want noise. She wanted Carolina. Her apartment in the city was minimalist and cold, glass, chrome, white marble, the kind of place people admired but never felt at home in. When she opened the door and let Carolina inside, the shift was immediate. Carolina stood in the middle of the living room and turned slowly, silent, as if absorbing every sharp edge of the space. "You really live here?" she asked softly. "Technically. It's beautiful. And lonely." The billionaire didn't answer. Carolina walked to the window, looking out over the skyline. "How many nights did you stand here thinking about me?" "Too many." "And how many nights did you pretend you didn't?" "Every other one." She turned then, walking toward her, slow and deliberate. "You still don't know how to let people in, do you?" "I'm trying." "You've lived behind glass for so long. I'm not sure you know how to break it." "Then break it for me." The words hung in the air. Carolina stopped inches away. "That's not my job. You want me in your life? Make room. Not just in your bed. In your days. Your decisions. Your future. You already are." "Then tell them. Tell the world." The billionaire's jaw clenched. "It's not that simple." "Yes, it is. Either I'm yours or I'm not. It's not about shame. It's about fear. I get it. I lived in it too. But I burned a marriage to be here. I won't be your secret." The billionaire didn't flinch. "I never wanted you to be." "Then prove it." Carolina stepped back, crossing her arms. "What are you afraid of?" "That once I say it, I can't take it back. That if I lose you again, the whole world will watch me fall." "You think I came back just to leave again?" "I think people leave all the time." "Then you don't trust me." "I don't trust anything that matters this much." Carolina's expression didn't soften. "Then we're already over." She turned, walked toward the door. Not fast, but firm. The billionaire didn't chase her immediately. She stood still, heart pounding, every instinct screaming to retreat, but one voice, low and raw, told her this was it. This was the test. She moved. "Wait." Carolina paused but didn't look back. "I'll do it," the billionaire said. "All of it.
Public. Permanent.
Real." "Why now?" "Because I'd rather be broken with you than whole without you." Carolina turned slowly. Her eyes were wet, but she held the emotion tightly. "Then say it out loud." The billionaire stepped forward, took her hand. "You're mine. Not in ownership. In choice. And I want the world to know I chose you." The next morning, the statement went live. No spokesperson. No vague press release. Just one paragraph, written by the billionaire herself, posted to every platform. "The rumors are true. Love is messy, timing is cruel, and sometimes we don't get it right the first time. But I have loved Carolina Torres for years, quietly, deeply, and with more regret than I can name. Today I'm choosing to love her out loud. That's the only truth I owe the world." The backlash was immediate. Board members called emergency meetings. Stock prices trembled. Old interviews resurfaced. The media went wild. Carolina's name trended worldwide. Her ex-wife issued a short, classy statement. "Some things aren't meant to last. I wish her happiness and truth." But in between the chaos, there was support. Thousands of messages. Stories of women finding their courage. Posts that said, "Finally." That night, Carolina stood on the balcony, watching the lights of the city. "You didn't have to do it like that," she said. "I did." You put your whole empire on the line. It's only worth something if you're in it. And what if the world doesn't forgive you? Then I'll survive. But I won't apologize for loving you. She turned to face her. And you? Any regrets? Carolina shook her head slowly. Only that I didn't do it sooner. They stood together in silence. The noise outside the apartment was deafening. Headlines, interviews, public opinion. But inside, they were still.
Real.
And for the first time, the love between them wasn't hidden or quiet or secret. It was honest. It was vulnerable. And it was just beginning. The world didn't take long to answer. Within hours of her statement, the narrative shifted from speculation to obsession. Interviews were requested. Former employees, distant relatives, forgotten classmates. Everyone suddenly had something to say about the reclusive billionaire who had stepped out of the shadows and into the fire for a woman she never stopped loving. Her board wasn't pleased. Shareholders whispered about instability. PR teams begged her to clarify, to walk it back, to add a no further comments line and let the chaos cool. She said no, repeatedly, firmly. Carolina watched it all with an eerie calm, like someone who had expected this storm her entire life. She didn't hide. She didn't flinch. She simply stood beside her. And that, more than anything, made the billionaire feel unshakable. Until the first blow came from inside. A senior board member, someone she'd once mentored, trusted, called a meeting without her. Words like reputation risk and personal compromise were tossed around. She found out through a leak. Carolina read the article before she did. They're coming for you, she said softly. Let them, the billionaire replied. I'm not afraid. But she was. Not of losing power. Of losing ground. Losing the only solid thing she'd ever built. Losing the space she'd carved out of nothing and called her own. And yet, when she looked at Carolina, curled barefoot on the couch in one of her oversized button-downs, legs tucked under her like she'd always belonged there, the fear shrank. Not disappeared, but became something survivable. You're quiet, Carolina said, looking up from the news feed. I'm thinking. About them?
About you.
A pause. And me. What about us? That I've never actually had a real relationship. Not like this. Carolina smiled faintly. You think this is real now. It's the first thing that ever felt like it. That night, they didn't go out. They didn't speak to press. They turned off phones, muted the world, and shut every curtain. In the silence, they rediscovered the sound of breath, the sound of skin, the sound of years collapsing into fingertips. Carolina's mouth found hers with a desperation that wasn't chaos. It was memory. It was need. Slow, reverent, no longer forbidden. The billionaire's hands slid under her shirt, relearning terrain she thought she'd lost forever. You still remember me, Carolina whispered against her neck. Every inch, the billionaire murmured. Every sound you make. The night stretched long, sweat-soaked, tangled in sheets and sighs and quiet moans that didn't ask for permission anymore. It wasn't just lust. It was grief and forgiveness made physical. It was claiming, not in dominance but in presence. You're here. You stayed. You still want me. They fell asleep in the aftermath, limbs entwined, her arm wrapped protectively around Carolina's waist, their bodies finally allowed to rest in each other. In the morning, the board meeting was waiting. Carolina woke first, brewed coffee, kissed her shoulder to wake her. Time to be terrifying, she whispered. You coming with me? Always. She wore black. Clean, sharp lines. The suit she wore the day her company went public. This time, it wasn't armor. It was declaration. When they entered the conference room, heads turned. Carolina walked in with her, chin high, unapologetic. No introduction was needed. The tension was immediate. We appreciate your time, one of the executives said. We've called this meeting to address recent events. You mean the part where I told the truth? The room went still. We believe your public admission may have affected investor confidence. I believe hiding who I am would have affected me more. Someone else cleared their throat. Your personal life is now inextricably linked to the company's public image. Then let the image evolve. Another voice, calm, cool. We're not saying you did anything wrong, but we do question the timing, the transparency. You're not worried about my love life, she said. You're worried that my power is no longer serving only you. That shut them up. Carolina stayed silent through it all, but her hand under the table never left the billionaire's knee.
Steady.
Grounding. After the meeting, no one dared challenge her directly.
Not yet.
But she knew this was just the beginning. They would push harder. They would test her boundaries.
And she would let them.
Until they broke. Back at home, Carolina watched her undo her tie, slow, methodical. You didn't blink once in there, she said. I wanted to, but you didn't. Because you were there. Carolina stepped behind her, wrapped her arms around her waist, rested her cheek against her back. You're stronger than they'll ever understand. You're the reason I'm still standing. Then don't let them shake you. I won't.
Not now.
Not when I finally have something worth losing. Carolina turned her around, looked her in the eye. You don't have me because you fought for me in a boardroom. Then why do I have you? Because when the world turned on us, you didn't run. You didn't hide. You reached for my hand. The billionaire swallowed. I do it again. Every time. Carolina leaned in. Then hold on. No matter what comes next. And when they kissed, it wasn't soft. It was fierce. It was fearless. It was real. The world might not be done testing them, but they were done hiding from it. It started with the interview request. Then 2. Then a dozen. Offers poured in from every major media outlet, morning shows, glossy magazines, even documentaries. Everyone wanted the exclusive. Everyone wanted their story. The love, the scandal, the escape, the reunion. They wanted vulnerability dressed as entertainment. Carolina rolled her eyes as she read the proposals on her phone. They're not interested in us. They're interested in tearing us apart and calling it journalism. The billionaire leaned against the kitchen counter, coffee untouched. We can say no to all of it, or we can say yes to just one, on our terms. You'd be willing to go on record? Carolina looked up. I already did. The moment I walked into your life again. But something else was brewing. More dangerous. More insidious. A name surfaced. Someone from Carolina's past. A woman from her university days. Journalist. Ambitious. Relentless. She had reached out before, quietly, indirectly, looking for dirt on Carolina's wedding, on the relationship, on the woman who had pulled her out of it. This time, she was being direct. She wanted an interview. And if denied, she made it clear she'd run the story anyway. She's not bluffing, Carolina said, sitting on the edge of the bed, reading the email. She never does. Who is she to you? The billionaire's tone was calm, but sharp. We dated. Briefly. It was nothing serious. But she's always wanted a story to break her into the next tier. And now we're it. She'll spin anything. Find old photos. Edit quotes. Twist whatever she can. Let her, the billionaire said. We've already told the truth. But truth isn't what sells. Sensation does. Then let's be louder than her.
How?
We tell our own story. Fully. Nothing to hide. Nothing to weaponize. Carolina hesitated. It's easy for you. You've spent your life being untouchable. I've spent mine surviving appearances. Then stop surviving. Start living. That night, they made the decision. One interview. One platform. Their way. A journalist they trusted. A setting they chose. No handlers. No scripts. Just them.
Raw. Real.
Side by side. On the day of the recording, the apartment was turned into a temporary studio. Soft lighting. Neutral background. Mics clipped. Hair loose. Carolina wore black. Elegant but strong. The billionaire wore gray. Simple and direct. When the cameras rolled, neither of them flinched. Tell us, the journalist began. What changed? The billionaire spoke first. Nothing changed. We just stopped hiding. Carolina's voice followed, steady. We let ourselves want what we already loved. The questions came softly, then sharper. about guilt, about timing, about the wedding. You left a woman at the altar, the journalist said. What do you say to that? Carolina looked into the camera, eyes unwavering. That I should have never said yes in the first place. That the real cruelty would have been staying. And you, the journalist turned to the billionaire. You've been called a manipulator. That you orchestrated this to win her back, no matter the cost. I didn't orchestrate anything, she said. I was ready to let her go forever, until someone reminded both of us what we were throwing away. Would you do it again? Every time. Carolina reached for her hand then. The camera caught it. Fingers intertwined. The small gesture that said everything. So what now? The journalist asked. The billionaire looked at Carolina. Now we stop apologizing. The interview aired 2 days later. It went viral in hours. Some people praised them. Some condemned. But no one ignored them. And then the message came. Anonymous account. No name. Just a line. Some doors should stay closed. Some people should stay gone. Attached was a photo. Carolina, younger, at a party. A kiss. A woman's face barely visible, half in shadow. The billionaire stared at it, eyes narrowing. That's her, Carolina said. The journalist?
Yes.
This is blackmail.
No.
It's a threat. The billionaire's phone rang. Private number. She answered. Silence on the line. Then a voice. Cold. Female. Familiar. Careful what you dig up. Not everything buried is yours to claim. Click. The line went dead. Carolina sat down slowly. She's not done. Then neither are we. She's not after you. She's after me. She wants to prove I'm not the victim. That I'm just another selfish woman who wanted attention. She's wrong. But that doesn't matter. Then what does? Carolina looked up, voice trembling. That I believe it. That part of me still believes I don't deserve this. The billionaire knelt in front of her, took her face in her hands. You deserve everything, even the love you keep trying to give back. What if I'm not who you think I am? Then I'll love you anyway. Carolina closed her eyes, a single tear slipping free. I'm scared. So am I. Will you stay if it gets worse? I'll stay if it destroys me. And in that moment, nothing else existed. Not the threats. Not the past. Not the fear. Only the truth. The love. The unbreakable gravity pulling them toward each other, again and again. The world would come for them. But they were done running. The email came at 3:07 a.m. Carolina didn't see it first. The billionaire did. She always woke in the middle of the night now, like her body anticipated war. She sat up in bed, screen glow lighting her face, pulse already drumming before the message finished loading. The subject line was simple. Your story ends now. The body was worse. A full draft of an article. 3,000 words of venom wrapped in journalistic tone. It painted Carolina as manipulative, disloyal, untrustworthy. It suggested the billionaire had orchestrated the wedding scandal for PR attention. It referenced anonymous sources, hinted at drug use in college, called her emotionally erratic and a woman who builds her survival on the destruction of others. Attached were photos. Old. Cropped. Edited for effect. Shadows deepened. Expressions twisted. A portrait of two women rewritten into something salacious. She didn't wake Carolina. She sat in silence, breathing through her fury. Then she forwarded the article to her legal team. 1 hour later, they replied, "We can delay publication. Maybe even stop it. But she's protected. It's opinion, laced with just enough truth to make it impossible to sue cleanly." Carolina stirred around 5 a.m., her body reaching for the warmth beside her. She found the billionaire sitting at the window, lit by city light, unmoving. "It's her, isn't it?" she asked softly. The billionaire nodded once. "She's going to publish? Unless we give her what she wants." Which is? A sit-down. One-on-one. Exclusive. No restrictions. Just you and her. Live. Carolina froze. She wants me to stand in front of the world and let her gut me. Yes. And if I don't, she'll get you anyway, just without your voice. The silence that followed was terrifying. Carolina didn't cry, didn't shout. She just sat on the edge of the bed, hands clasped tightly in her lap, staring at nothing. She knows how to twist things, she said quietly. She always did. She called it truth, but it was control. If I looked happy, she'd remind me I wasn't. If I smiled too long, she'd say I was fake. And if I cried, she'd call me dramatic. The billionaire walked to her, knelt down, took her hands. Then take that power back. By sitting across from her again? By refusing to let her rewrite your life. What if I freeze? Then I'll be there. Every second. What if she wins? Then we lose together. But at least we lose on our terms. The live stream was scheduled for 3 days later. It spread fast. Teasers, countdowns, speculation. The public braced for spectacle. What they got was something else entirely. The studio was minimal. Black backdrop. 2 chairs. 1 table. The journalist wore white. Carolina wore navy. The billionaire wasn't on camera, but she was there, just off frame, watching like she could will the bullets away. The interview started civil. Then sharpened. You left your wife for a woman who abandoned you once already. Do you consider that a pattern of self-sabotage? Carolina didn't flinch. I consider it a correction. You've been accused of emotional instability. Would you say that's fair? I would say loving someone who's afraid of being loved makes you doubt your own sanity. You lied to someone you vowed to love forever. How do you justify that? By realizing that staying would have been the real betrayal. Some say you're addicted to drama. Maybe. Or maybe I just stopped settling for silence. The journalist leaned forward. And what about the woman beside you now? Do you trust her? After everything? Carolina turned to the camera. Her voice didn't shake. I trust her more than I trust myself. Because when everything broke, she didn't run. And when I was too afraid to speak, she listened anyway. She chose me. I choose her. The journalist blinked, thrown for the first time. You're saying this isn't a PR stunt? Carolina laughed, soft and sharp. The only thing we're trying to recover is time. After the stream ended, the public didn't explode the way they expected. It sighed. Soft, stunned, shaken. Something about the clarity, the composure, the calm defiance. It shifted the tone. The article leaked anyway. But now it rang hollow. The story had already been told by Carolina herself, on her own terms. That night, the billionaire wrapped her arms around her in bed, lips at her temple. You were brilliant. I was shaking the whole time. I know, but you didn't show it. Because I kept looking at you. You saved us. No, Carolina whispered. We saved me. Together. The war wasn't over. But they'd just won a battle no one thought they'd survive. Together. Still standing. Still holding on. The days after the interview were quieter than expected. The world didn't explode. It didn't riot or cheer or collapse. It simply adjusted. Slowly. Awkwardly. Headlines cooled. Investors backed off. The ex-wife issued a final statement. Some people come into your life to show you what you're not. I hope they find what they are. It was classy. It was painful. It was over. The billionaire's company stabilized, not because the controversy died, but because she didn't. She showed up, led meetings, signed deals, wore the same sharp suits and answered every loaded question with deliberate calm. And beside her, always, was Carolina. They didn't pose for photos. They didn't attend red carpets or walk into restaurants holding hands for attention. But they stopped hiding. And that in itself changed everything. Still, the quiet was unfamiliar, almost unsettling. One evening, a week after the live interview, they sat on the floor of the apartment, sharing a bottle of wine, surrounded by half-emptied takeout containers and open windows. The wind was soft, the night gentle. It should have felt perfect, but Carolina was restless. The billionaire noticed it in the way she kept touching her necklace, in the way she stared out the window longer than necessary, in the way she avoided eye contact for the first time in weeks. You're somewhere else, she said finally. Carolina looked down at her glass. I don't know how to stop surviving. The billionaire set her wine aside. What do you mean? I've spent so long being in crisis mode, dodging press, protecting people, pretending I was fine. And now that it's quiet,
I don't know how to just exist.
How to let this be good. The billionaire nodded slowly. I understand. Do you?
Yes.
I'm the queen of building castles on quicksand. And now I'm trying to build something with roots. Carolina looked at her. And if I don't know how to stay still? Then we move together. Slowly, deliberately, but never alone. Carolina hesitated. Do you ever think we rushed into this? No, she said without pause. But I think we jumped from fire into softness, and now we don't know what to do with the stillness. It feels like waiting for the next hit. There's no next hit. You don't know that. No, the billionaire said gently, but I know we've faced everything else. And we're still here. Carolina crawled into her lap then, quiet, needing touch more than reassurance. The billionaire wrapped her arms around her, holding her like something fragile and sacred. I don't want to ruin this, Carolina whispered. You won't. What if I do? Then we rebuild. Again and again. I'm not leaving. Carolina pressed her face to her neck. Promise. I swear. For a while, that was enough. The wine turned warm. The food forgotten. They kissed like the air between them had always belonged to their mouths. Slow. Anchored.
Real.
But later that night, in bed, something cracked. Carolina was asleep, her body soft against the billionaire's chest, when she stirred with a sharp breath, sat up too fast, hand over her heart. The billionaire jolted awake. What is it? Carolina's eyes were glassy. Her breath short. Nothing. Just a dream. Talk to me. I was back in the wedding dress, walking down the aisle. Everyone staring. But you weren't there. I looked at every row, every seat. The one next to me was empty. I'm here now. But the dream didn't know that. It wasn't real. It felt real. You don't have to prove anything anymore. That's not true, she whispered. I feel like I do. Every day. Like I have to earn the right to be here. The billionaire took her face gently in her hands. You're not a guest in my life. You're the reason it's finally mine. Carolina closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. It still feels like I'm going to wake up and find you gone. I'm not going anywhere. Then say it again. I'm not going anywhere. Louder. I'm not going anywhere. Carolina buried herself against her chest, clinging like she'd fall through the bed otherwise. And the billionaire held her until the tremors stopped, until the breathing slowed, until the dream faded into dust. The next morning, Carolina made pancakes. They were slightly burnt and unevenly shaped. The billionaire ate every one of them. I'm trying, Carolina said, watching her with cautious eyes. You're succeeding, even if I don't have it all figured out. Especially then. They ate in silence, legs touching under the table, the kind of quiet that didn't ache. That afternoon, a delivery arrived. A small package. No note. Just a thin envelope inside. Carolina opened it, read the card, then handed it to the billionaire. Her hands were shaking. It was an invitation. Embossed. Expensive. Deliberate. The wedding of Maya Sterling and Elise Vaughn. Please save a seat beside you. Carolina stared at her. Maya, my ex-wife. She's marrying again. The billionaire looked at the envelope, then at her. And she sent this? Yes. Why? I don't know. Are you going? Carolina didn't answer right away. Then, only if you come with me. The billionaire reached across the table, took her hand, and squeezed it. Always. And for the first time, Carolina smiled, really smiled, like something in her finally believed this piece was real. The past had found a new chapter. And so had they. They flew out 2 days before the wedding. No press. No entourage. Just them, 2 bags, and the weight of a past that no longer had power, but still had presence. Carolina was quiet on the plane, Fingers laced through the billionaire's, her eyes tracing the clouds like they were watching her instead of the other way around. "You sure you want to do this?" the billionaire asked. Carolina turned slowly. "I'm not going for her. I'm going for the version of me that almost stayed." The drive to the venue was coastal and winding, the kind of route that would have once filled Carolina with anxiety. Now, she rested her head against the window, humming under her breath. The venue was beautiful,
Modern.
elegant. Nothing like the one she had nearly walked down the aisle in. The staff welcomed them like they knew, not just who they were but what they represented. Redemption. Reclamation. Carolina held the invitation in her hand like a symbol, a relic from a life she no longer belonged to, but still respected. At the entrance, an attendant handed them a seating card. Her name. The billionaire's name.
Side by side.
"She meant it," Carolina whispered. "She really saved me a seat." The ceremony was short.
Soft.
Intimate. Maya looked radiant, happy in a way she hadn't been when she stood across from Carolina. Elise, her bride, had warmth in her eyes. Patience. A different kind of love, quiet but solid. When the vows ended and the applause began, Carolina clapped gently, lips parted in something close to awe. "I didn't know it could be like that," she said. The billionaire leaned in. "Neither did I."
Until you.
At the reception, Maya approached them slowly. She wore a simple dress, her hand entwined with Elise's. There was no bitterness, no accusation, just clarity. "I'm glad you came," Maya said, eyes on Carolina. "You look lighter." "Because I am. You two seem real." Carolina smiled. "We are." Maya nodded. "Then I'm happy for you. For both of you." She looked at the billionaire. "You held her when I couldn't." "She held herself," the billionaire said. "I just refused to let go." Elise joined them then, arm wrapping casually around Maya's waist. "Thank you for coming," she said, and somehow that was the most surprising kindness of all. Carolina exhaled. "Thank you for inviting us." They didn't stay long after. Long enough to witness what healing could look like. Long enough to realize they had found it too. Back at the hotel, the billionaire opened the balcony doors, letting in the sea air. Carolina stepped out barefoot, arms crossed, eyes full of quiet thought. "I kept imagining I'd feel shame coming here," she said. "But I don't. I just feel free." The billionaire came up behind her, wrapped her arms around her waist. "You earned that."
No.
"We did." The moonlight painted silver across her skin, and for a long moment, they stood in silence, wrapped around each other like time didn't matter. "Do you still have it?" Carolina asked suddenly. "Have what?" "The first note. The one that brought you to the wedding." The billionaire smiled, walked inside, opened her wallet, pulled out the small, folded piece of paper. She handed it to Carolina. Her fingers trembled as she unfolded it. "Save me a seat beside you." Carolina laughed through a breath. She knew exactly what she was doing. "She did," the billionaire agreed. "But so did we. We just didn't know it yet." Carolina stepped closer. "You ever think about writing your own letter?" "Promise." The billionaire tilted her head. "Right now. Right here." She reached into the nightstand, pulled out a pen and hotel notepad, and handed it over. The billionaire stared at the page for a second, then wrote. When she was done, she folded it once, slipped it into Carolina's hand. "Don't open it until tomorrow." Carolina smirked. "Bossy. Boundaries."
Fine.
"But only if you read mine too." She grabbed another sheet, scribbled something, folded it carefully, then tucked it into the billionaire's palm.
Tomorrow, she echoed. Deal.
They slept tangled in sheets and limbs, heartbeats synchronized, breaths sinking into a rhythm only love could explain. In the morning, they exchanged notes like children, giddy and serious at once. Carolina opened hers first. "I will never let fear be louder than love again. Not with you. Not ever." The billionaire read hers in silence, then looked up with glassy eyes. Carolina watched her, nervous. "Too much." The billionaire shook her head.
No.
Just enough. She stood, pulled Carolina into her arms. What did I say? Carolina asked softly. The billionaire's voice was low, steady.
Full.
You wrote, I want to grow old with you, but more than that, I want to grow with you. Every version, every chapter, every day we don't know what we're doing. I want it with you. Carolina smiled, buried her face against her neck. I meant it. So do I. The world kept spinning. The headlines faded. The tension dissolved. But the love, they never let that quiet down. They moved into a new place. One with more sunlight, less glass. They burned the old invitation. They framed the first note. They left the balcony doors open more often. They kissed in grocery stores, held hands in elevators, argued about takeout, and kissed through thunder. And whenever one of them doubted, the other reminded. We made it. Not perfectly, not cleanly, but completely. Not because they were fearless, but because they stopped letting fear win. The seat beside her was never empty again. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $sign icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you.